All right. Well, hello, everyone. Happy March. March is National Nutrition Month. So, obviously, today's topic is going to play on that. Our title is Food is Fuel, and I'm really excited for this conversation around healthy eating. I think this is probably one of the most important topics that we could talk about. For those of you who have not joined before, my name is Katie Powell. I'm a well-being consultant for Care First, a health educator by trade, a truly passionate wellness warrior, and I'm just glad that you have given this webinar a chance. We do these every Wednesday of the first Wednesday of every month, excuse me. So come to all that you can. Last month, before we go too far into it, we want to change the slide. Yeah. So for those that were here with us last month, our webinar was taught by Dr. Moy, who educated on what the heart wants. Um, Dr. Moy talked about keeping our heart strong through exercise, through stress management, through heart healthy foods. And so this month we're going to continue to play on our theme of building a healthier you for 2025. And we're going to shift to talk about how food fuels everything we do. And it really does. It fuels everything from our energy, our focus, our movement. And we're going to talk about how we can make the foods that we eat and the nutrition that we take in work for us. And this is not just something that we're going to think about once this year. We're going to think about it heavily today and then continue having it kind of as a thought in the back of our head as the years go on. All right, so really what we're going to talk about is fuel in the form of food, what it is, how do we do it, and then how can we continue to build upon what we know, what we're learning, and what we want to continue to do. And then, of course, as always, we will wrap up with a review of some Care First resources that are available to assist you. All right, so understanding what fuels you. I'm sure we can all agree nutrition is a very important topic. Next slide. Nutrition really and truly affects every aspect of our well-being. Just like we said, it affects our energy levels, our mental clarity, it affects our immune function, as well as our long-term health. So, what we eat today doesn't just affect how we feel today, it also plays a pretty significant role in our future. And healthy aging and preventing disease and chronic condition can really all be done by getting good nutrition and overall well-being. At its most basic level, good nutrition is simply eating regularly and maintaining a balanced diet. And this starts from birth all the way through pretty much your entire life. I think we tend to overcomplicate it. We should really be thinking of eating as opportunity, right? It's opportunity to give our bodies the nutrients that it needs to function properly. And I'm sure that you probably have heard this analogy before, but it really just rings true. When you need to fill your car with gas, right? You select the gas that is best suited for your car. It's the same concept when it comes to putting in fuel for your body. We need high quality gas for our cars. We also need high quality foods for our body. If you put in the wrong gas in your car, over time, it's going to start having problems. You're going to start having issues. It's going to need repair and maintenance. And it really is the same for your body. If you're consistently putting in foods that are low in nutrients, but high in calorie, high in fat, high in carbs, That repair really translates to doctor's visits, medications, chronic condition management. So it's something that we definitely want to think of. Let me think if there's anything else I wanted to point out here. We are going to talk about the two different types of nutrients, macro and micro. So not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but we will educate on that as well. And moving to nutrition for lifelong health. So we kind of just spoke about this. It's really your entire life. So it is eating healthy from the time you are an infant all the way through the rest of your life. So proper nutrition really should start early during infancy and the childhood years, because at that point it's going to support brain function, immune health, bone growth. During this time, it's essential to getting enough protein, as well as things like healthy fats, calcium, vitamins, etc., because those are core and key to a strong foundation. Now, as our bodies grow, in adolescence and in early adulthood, our energy needs are going to increase. So, this is a time when we really want to be mindful about creating habits around things like hydration, balanced eating, and taking in nutrients from all different areas so that we are really starting to eat a very wide variety of a diet. It does continue into adulthood, right? So in adulthood, nutrition is going to play a major role in maintaining metabolism, which is always so fun, as well as hormone regulation, preventing chronic disease. So here we really want to focus on things like balanced meals that include fiber, lean protein, healthy fats, and more. And I'm sure you've heard some of this before. So again, continuing on, even as we age, we want to make sure that we are eating foods that are high in things like protein and calcium and vitamin D, because we need those types of foods so they can support things like our bone health, our cognitive function, as well as our disease prevention. Moving on to those two nutrients we talked about, or I alluded to, the first is macro. Macronutrients is actually comes from a Greek word macros, which means large. So the intent is that we eat macronutrient foods in larger amounts. Nutritionally speaking, macros are usually measured in grams, and that's going to be different than how micros are measured. Macronutrients have a unique role. So for anyone who may not know, macros include, I saw some questions, things like carbohydrates, which I think carbohydrates tend to get a bad rap when we actually truly need them for energy sources, protein, and then fats. So when we talk about carbohydrates, this is the fuel that we're talking about. This is picking the right fuel for your body. There's carbohydrates that are healthy and carbohydrates that are not as healthy. So one of the big examples is things like white refined bread and pastas and rices versus whole grain, brown rice, whole wheat pasta, things such as that. Carbohydrates break down into glucose, so that's blood sugar. So we want to make sure we're getting some of those healthier carbohydrates. Proteins, their purpose in the body is to build and repair muscles. I think protein is also something that is not as maybe educated or talked about, but protein is very important for those functions. Protein includes things like meats, poultry, fish, eggs, cheese, you name it. There's some really great ways to get some healthy proteins in your diet. And then the last is the fats. Fats, again, have a bad rep, but as I'm sure you're learning, there are healthy and then not as healthy fats as well. So, fats that are more heart healthy are like the nuts, the seeds, the legumes. Then you have some not as healthy fats, and those are things like butter and sour cream, mayonnaise, etc. So doing a quick knowledge check before we educate you, which of the following nutrients is most important for bone density? I'll give you guys a minute. Awesome. Thanks for participating. All right. Well, if you said calcium, you are correct. So moving on to, let me close this poll real quick, micronutrients. So micros are a Greek word for smaller amounts. That comes from micros, which means small. These are measured in milligrams, which is different than the macros. Micronutrients, they don't necessarily provide energy directly, but they are so essential because they help the body use macronutrients efficiently. So without the proper amount of vitamins and minerals, your body can't do what it needs to do in order to convert those carbs and fats and proteins into the energy in which your body needs. So even though you need them in small amounts, they have a really big purpose. And the WHO organization says that iron deficiency affects over 2 billion people worldwide. That's a really big number. And the reason that this is so substantial is because not having the right amount of micronutrients can lead to things like fatigue and cognitive decline. So there's a lot of times where folks just aren't feeling great. They may go to the doctor and they may find out that they're deficient in a certain vitamin. And you'll know that very quickly if that's the case and you replace that vitamin, you'll see improvements. But obviously, a conversation with your doctor. And then we always recommend getting enough vitamins and minerals through color. So through a colorful diet. We'll talk about the plate method just for a second in a couple of slides, but one of the purposes of the plate method is obviously different food groups, but different food groups and different colors bring different nutrients. So it's important to have a colorful plate. All right, calories. So simply put, a calorie is a unit of energy. Every food we eat provides us calories. It's not necessarily the calorie themselves, it's the quality of the calories that matter. And I've got some examples I'm going to show you guys in a minute, but I like to tell people when it comes to calories to think of it like spending money, right? So as you can see on this slide, there's a recommendation for how many calories you can have. And calories are really going to be dependent on each person. So age, gender, physical activity level, every body needs a different amount of calories. That's also a conversation to have with the primary care provider. They can take into account things like, are you trying to lose weight, maintain weight? Do you have any chronic conditions? However, you get so many calories a day, and let's say it's 2,000. If you get 2,000 calories a day, think of it like having $2,000. right? That's all that you have for that entire day. You really want to make it last. You want to invest in what you are spending your calories on. So, for example, if you get 2,000 calories and you pick up this M&Ms, this is 150, 300, 480 calories. So you're talking about a fourth of your calories in M&Ms. Is that a good investment? That means the rest of the day you only have 1,500 calories and you have 3 meals to eat. Is it worth it? I always use that example too when you're thinking about eating out. So you can go to Chipotle and you can honestly get a 2,000 calorie burrito, but you have spent all of your calories for the day. You can also go to Chipotle, get a lot of the same things, but kind of in different ways. Maybe without the burrito, maybe you get a bowl, you switch brown rice, you take off some of the sour cream, and you're only spending 500 calories. That still leaves you 1,500 calories for the rest of the day. So if that helps, hopefully it helps me all the time. I'm like, would I spend so much on this knowing what I have for the rest of the day? We do want everyone to focus on when they're looking at calories or they're looking at food choices, thinking about nutrient dense foods. So, nutrient dense foods, you're going to get fuel for your body. You're going to get that gas that you need, right? You're going to get most likely carbohydrates, fiber, vitamins, minerals. Those calories are doing good. If you're consuming empty calories, that means, for example, you're taking in a lot of calories, but there's no nutritional value. It's not to say that you cannot have them. That is not the message. It's just how much and how often. You know, you want those peanut M&Ms, that's great, but instead of having the share size, maybe we have the little independent size, something like that. We want to get as much nutrition from the foods that we pick. Um, yep. And then I like this slide. This basically kind of furthers what I was just saying about calories and how far do they go. So if you were to choose, you know, a cheeseburger, it's going to have a lot of oils, cheese, and meats. It's going to take up a little bit. It's going to cost you a lot, but it's not going to fill you up as much as if you were to order, you know, a big grilled chicken, you know, garden salad. You can have a whole big bowl of, you know, fresh veggies, grilled chicken, vinaigrette for 200-300 calories. That's really going to fill you up, which will make you feel full longer, which will prevent overeating, which will also help you get those vitamins and minerals that we need in our bodies to help those macro nutrients work better. Or you can pick, you know, that smushed down little cheeseburger that is going to be hundreds and hundreds of calories, come with lots of fats and carbs, and then it's not going to stay in your stomach. Yep. And let's see. I saw one question pop up. So just to kind of help explain that further, your stomach is like a balloon, right? So if you continue to blow more air in a balloon, it's going to get bigger. It's the same concept with your stomach. If you're constantly stretching your stomach by overeating in portion sizes, then it's going to take more and more and more for you to feel full going forward. I think what we're trying to say is if you know, are trying to eat healthy, be mindful of nutrients, you want to fill up your stomach to the appropriate size with fruits and vegetables. You're going to be able to eat a lot more for a lot less. If you were to choose the maybe not as healthy options, you are, it's still going to make you feel full, don't get me wrong, because that's what, you know, fats and oils and things do, but it's not going to stay in your stomach as long as fresh fruits and vegetables that are full of fiber will. So that's why we always say whole grains, lean proteins, fruits and vegetables, because they last longer. Your body is breaking them down, taking in all of the nutrients. All right, the role of hydration. So, when we're talking about fueling our body, we would be remiss if we did not include just a little bit of hydration. We are pretty much made up of mostly water. So it's really important that we make sure we are keeping ourselves hydrated. Water is one of the most critical nutrients for our body. So your hydration, there used to be like everyone should have eight glasses of water a day, but that's really skewed. You should take in um, your water based on, how active you are, how old you are, what gender you are. If you're doing things like breastfeeding or if you're an athlete, like your doctor is going to really help you determine a better guide than, a generic CDC recommendation. What I like to tell people is one way that you can tell if you are properly hydrated is by the color of your urine. If you're going to the bathroom and your urine is a dark yellow or a brown, that's your body's way of signaling that you are not properly hydrated. If you're going to the bathroom and it is more clear, very, very pale yellow, that's your body's way of saying you are hydrated. Um, Water does, its best form is obviously water, but you can take it in from foods as well. So eating like lots of fruits and vegetables, they have water within them. Cucumbers, watermelon. I love watermelon, celery, different things like that will also help. But dehydration is not fun. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced dehydration before, but just a couple signs of dehydration include fatigue, brain fog, thinking that you're hungry when you're not actually hungry, and there's many more. And then this is a great um, image to show you just kind of the importance of taking in water. So if you're thinking about how much water should I drink, think about talking to your doctor, watching your body, and looking for signs and signals. And going back to our whole concept of fueling the body, right? Food is fuel. There are energy boosting foods and there are energy draining foods. So if you've ever, it's 2 o'clock and you're starting to slump over, you're getting tired, and you think that eating a snack is going to help, there is truth to that, depending on a couple things. Is it time to eat? Are you hungry? And what snack are you choosing? So, for energy boosting foods, whole grains is definitely a good one. They will help steady energy release, which will stabilize your blood sugar. Lean proteins will keep you full and prevent energy dips. Having a little bit of healthy fats, whether it's like a handful of nuts or sometimes, like in the afternoon, whole grains, I'll get a whole wheat piece of toast and I'll grab some peanut butter. So I have some grains and some proteins. Um, I'm sorry, some healthy fats or pretty much anything fiber rich. So crunching on some celery sticks or carrots, and it really doesn't have to be that. I feel like we always think dieting includes celery and carrots. Maybe you're having a Greek yogurt with some um, granola and some fresh berries. Like that's going to lift you up and give you energy and keep you going. Whereas if you go to the vending machine and you're grabbing, cookies and M&Ms and a Coke, you are going to deplete energy. So those sugary snacks, they're going to give you a quick spike, but it's going to give you a fast crash as well. We also don't want to take in too much caffeine because when we have too much caffeine, it actually hurts us later on, especially if you're doing it in the afternoon hours by taking it in late. Then you're going to get yourself in trouble when it comes to trying to get sleep that night. And we all know how sleep is so important to overall wellness. And then things like fried foods and fast foods, again, they're going to leave you feeling heavy and sluggish. They're harder on your digestive system. Typically, after you eat like a really heavy meal, you don't feel like doing anything. You feel like sitting and getting in comfy pants. So think of it, do I want something that's going to, give me what I need to get through the next 2 or 3 hours? Or do I want to put myself in a position where it's going to be even harder to continue on with the day? So quick poll, would love to know before we get into food labels, how confident you are in reading and understanding the nutrition facts to make healthy choices. So are you very confident? Are we somewhat confident? It's perfectly fine if you're like not confident at all. That's why we come to these types of things, these educational webinars. Got a lot of somewhat confident. Awesome. I think the somewhat confident is going to win. So it's great that you're here then. What we have done is we have taken the updated nutrition label and we've kind of broken it down into the different parts so that you guys get a good understanding of each of the different areas. So, how do we read a nutrition label? How and why. The reason why we do it is because it gives us control over our nutrition and helps us understand what we're actually eating. And the way in which we do it is, I like to say, start from kind of the top down. So the first section is going to be your servings per container. This is a very important piece. And over the last couple of years, they've actually kind of changed the location of this to be a little bit more helpful for consumers to understand. So the most important thing to know is how many servings you're consuming. So I always like to give an example. Serving size of ice cream, if you have a carton, is usually about 12 servings. A lot of the times people consume these. Hopefully you can see this. This is just a Ben and Jerry's ice cream. There are 3 servings in this one, what I would say looks like a serving of ice cream. One serving is 430 calories. Okay? We can do that from time to time. We can indulge and have a treat. However, if you consume the entire ice cream, you are consuming 1,230 calories. One serving of total fat is 35%. The whole thing is 97%. So you can have the majority of your calories for the day, as well as all of your total fat in just your ice cream. The saturated fat, I want to point out, because saturated fat is the bad fats. We're not going to talk about fats necessarily today, but saturated and trans fats are the ones that are not good for the heart. They increase your risk of heart disease, heart attack, stroke, things such as that. One serving of this ice cream is 65% of your saturated fat for the day. If you were to consume the entire thing, it is 190% of your saturated fat. So you've had today's saturated fat and almost all of tomorrow's. So just wanted to make sure you guys kind of had a visual. This is 3 servings. This is what one serving of ice cream looks like. One serving versus 3 servings. Not that you can't have it. We can always make room for everything. I truly believe that all foods can fit. It's just how much and how often. So yep, serving sizes. The next is calories. We talked about calories. Calories are units of energy. They are helpful to help us understand, what we're taking in as far as our weight management. We want to stay within our range. If you take in more calories than you burn, that is when you will gain weight. This example shows that there 280 calories per serving. So just remember that as we keep going. The next slide. This is where we're going to start looking at the key nutrients that impact your health. Um, so when we think about food labels, we want to think about what we want to get less of and what we want to strive to get more of. So things we want to get less of include saturated fat, right? Because that's harmful to the heart, sodium, correlates with high blood pressure, and then added sugar. So added sugar, a lot of foods have sugar in them. Added sugar is even more that they put in. So if you're looking at a food label, you just want to see if it has a lot of those. We do want to strive to get as much from foods as we can when it comes to dietary fiber, vitamins, calcium, iron, potassium, and so on. There's not, as you can see, there's no daily reference value for total sugar because we don't actually have a recommendation for consumption of this. There was a question about going over sodium. So yeah, just at the top of mind, what I can say about sodium is a couple things. There's a recommendation for sodium, and I think it's at the bottom of your total daily value. I believe it's 2,300 or less sodium milligrams a day, 2,300 milligrams or less. Everything pretty much has salt in it. Salt is a preservative. It's used to in a lot of processed foods. So you just want to be mindful of how much you're getting in. By taking in too much salt, it can raise our blood pressure. If you do have high blood pressure, or if your doctor has advised you to reduce your sodium intake because you have a strong family history, or maybe you're borderline, typically they say 1,500 milligrams or less of sodium. Sodium is in a lot of foods, a lot of foods, especially frozen foods and packaged foods. So you just want to be mindful of that. When you turn around and look at food items, you want to look at sodium, the milligrams, if that's how you are counting them or tracking them, because that percent daily value is off of the recommendation of 2,300 milligrams. Okay, let's see. The next one, we are on, okay, good. The percent daily value. So the percent daily value is the percentage of the daily value for each nutrient in a serving of food. The daily values, they're reference amounts of nutrients to consume or to not exceed within a day. You do need to be mindful when it comes to the percent daily value, because these are all based off of a 2,000 calorie diet. So if you are someone, for example, I'm only 5'3", my calorie range is less than 2,000. It's actually less than 1,800 because of my stature. So when I look at percent daily value, I do also kind of have to adjusted in my mind, where it could say 10% for one person, it could actually mean, more than that for me. The general guidelines are 5% or less of a nutrient per serving is what we considered low. And this can go either way, a good low or a bad low. A good low meaning that it has 5% or less of fat. So we want less fat or added sugar, but it could also be not good because it could be 5% or less in fiber, which is something that we're really trying to strive to eat more of. And then 20% daily value is more of what we consider to be high. So again, it could be negative or positive. Maybe it's 22% of fiber. That's a great high. Or maybe it's, 29% of your saturated fat. That would be an example of a bad high. just one more thing on that slide. We do often want to choose foods that are higher, again, fiber, vitamin, calcium, iron, and potassium, and foods lower that are in the saturated fat, sodium, and added sugar. And I think that's worth saying twice because it's something to think about. Um, let's do this quick little activity, and then I want to show you one. So in the chat, can you guys identify how many total servings is in this container? Awesome. Yep, you guys are good. So there's 8 servings. 8 servings. The serving size is different. Okay. So the next question is how many total calories is in this container? So there's going to be a little bit of math involved. You are correct, and it is going to be 8 servings times the calories. 8 serving times the calories per serving. So 8 times 230, you guys are correct. There's 1,840 calories. So I think this is lasagna. Maybe an example would be you have this lasagna and half of it. You now know that you need to multiply what's on the nutrition label times 4 because you've had half of the entire product. If you eat the whole thing, you need to multiply everything by 8 because there's 8 servings per container. And then how many grams of added sugars are there? Added sugars has its own thing. So there's 10 grams of added sugars. Yep. And then last but not least, our question. Oops, sorry. What is the percent daily value? Give me 1 second. My multiple screens are not working in my favor. What is the percent daily value of iron? And then the second part of that is it high or low? And remember our rule of thumb, 5% is low. I'll give it to you. And 20% or more is high. Okay. Yep, you guys got it. So there's 45%, and this is considered high because over 20% is high. Last but not least, 2 more things before we get into our last section on building those nutritional habits is superfoods. So superfoods are super cool. These are foods that are extremely nutrient dense. They are high in antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. So maybe if you don't eat any of these now, your goal could be to incorporate 1 or 2. So examples are blueberries, leafy greens, chia seeds, salmon, Greek yogurt, sweet potatoes. I think right here there's a perfect snack. You could have a Greek yogurt with blueberries and chia seeds in it, and you've gotten 3 awesome superfoods in just one serving. Or maybe you have salmons on a bed of leafy greens with a side of sweet potato. You could be having a ton of superfoods. Just so that you guys know, the what's listed next to them are the vitamins and minerals, but also what they're great for. I've always heard blueberries were great for brain health. I think I grew up knowing that. My mom said it so many times, so I will never pass up a good blueberry. And then the last one was almonds as well. All right, and then building a balanced plate. I'm sure most people are familiar. We have replaced my pyramid. It's actually been 14 years since we've replaced my pyramid, and now we promote my plate. My plate is supposed to be a 9-inch serving plate. The reason why we're saying 9 inches is because it's a smaller serving plate, meaning we're going to have smaller portions of foods. It's cut into 4 sections with a side of dairy. The intention is to get as much nutrients, fruits, vitamins, everything we possibly can from the foods that we eat. I think one of the biggest things with building a plate is that when you're choosing a food item and you're thinking, okay, where do the Chips Ahoy go? They don't have a place on the plate. It does not mean that we can't have them. We can have everything in moderation. We've talked about how all foods can fit, but what it does mean is we should majority of the time choose foods that do have a place because they have health benefits. So that fruits, the vegetables, the grains, um, the protein. This plate picture, I believe it says 200 and I can't say 67 or 87 calories. Can you imagine? That is a nice, colorful, full plate. 287. This has 150 calories per serving, and there's 3.5 servings. So you could have multiple of those plates, not that anybody would, but just want to show you for the calories and what you're spending, is it really worth it? And then another example is something like this. So this is just a honey bun. There's 570 calories in this one honey bun. You could have 2 of those plates of just nutrition, fiber, vitamins, minerals, your micros, your macros, or you could have this one honey bun that is going to set you back in your daily value for saturated fat, total fat, cholesterol, and sodium as well. Can I eat second? So the thing with, oh gosh, and I know we're running out of time. I could talk a ton about this. The rule of thumb with eating is to try to eat your meal in 20 minutes. So we typically are going through our meals in like 5 to 6 minutes, and then we're rushing for seconds. Our bodies, there's a chemical messenger that is sent from the stomach to the brain to say, I'm full. If we are eating really fast and multiple amounts, and not giving it that 20 minutes, that chemical messenger is never sent. And when that chemical messenger isn't sent, we think we should continue to eat until we get full. And that's where we get problematic. So we want to eat mindfully. We want to take our time, drink our water, put our food down. If you eat slower than 20 minutes, that's fantastic. And really just be mindful of our meals. I'm going to keep going because I'm just talking away. Uh, Building your nutritional habits. So, what do you guys think are your biggest challenges when it comes to nutrition? We'll do this poll pretty quickly, but essentially, is it lack of time? Is it managing cravings and portion sizes? Does it have to do with how much nutrition costs, or nutritious foods cost? Low motivation to cook? Um, Ease of eating out. I just think about like Uber Eats and DoorDash, or is it staying consistent? So you guys keep voting, and I'm going to keep talking. So if you said it's lack of time, we have suggestions. So you can try things like meal prepping, maybe making one healthy meal, but making enough for 3 servings. Or adding, salads or lean proteins or smoothies that are really quick, packed with nutrients and fiber, and being able to eat it on the run. It looks like you guys said mostly managing cravings and portion sizes. So that's our next one. So cravings. Try to do things like find healthier swaps. So maybe instead of chips, if you're wanting something that's like crunchy, you try something different. We talked about almonds. We talked about blueberries, or adding granola or something like that. Those are options. Instead of ice cream, try Greek yogurt, or even doing things like portion sizes. If you buy this chances are you're going to eat this. But if you buy this, this is all you have to eat. So this is the treat that you get in a appropriate portion size. So you can think of things like that. I always think a lot of wellness and craving specifically is a lot of mental, right? So it's our mind thinking or wanting something. I have always been a huge candy girl. I never met an M&M that I didn't love. But I knew that it was getting to a point where I needed to have a little bit more control. So I told myself I am going to only have X amount. And then I would pre-bag them, and that's what I had for the day. And it worked. I know it's not always as easy as that, but there are different things that you can try, and definitely talk to other people. And we're going to talk about Care First Wellbeing programs that also help as well. But ask, has anything ever worked for you, especially when it comes to cravings? I've even done things like, if you drive past Dunkin' Donuts every single day to work, of course you're inclined to stop and get a coffee and maybe a donut. But if you don't need it and you don't want to get it, drive a different way to work. Low motivation can be one. So you can do things like you can pre-cut foods like veggies. So that way, if you just put in the time and the effort one day a week, you have it for the rest of the week. Keeping healthy foods front and center in your refrigerator and your pantry, that is very helpful as well. So is cutting out eating out often, because eating out gets expensive. You're not really going to get a ton of nutritional value as well. Um, so if you do eat out, just make sure that you are looking at the menus ahead of time and you're ordering it to be cooked as healthy as possible. Healthy snacking is something we've also kind of alluded to. So this goes with the energy giving snacking or the energy draining snacking. So proteins, fiber, healthy fats are good snacks, whereas we want to avoid snacks in high quantities of excess sugar, salt, and empty calories. These are just a couple healthy snack combinations. So things like fiber and a healthy fat. So maybe it's apples with some almond butter. It's a little bit of a sweet tooth, but a lot of nutrition. Greek yogurt and berries could be your protein and antioxidants. You could do something like hummus and vegetables for your fiber intake and your protein. And if you wanted some antioxidants and healthy fats, maybe some dark chocolate with some nuts. Keep going. Exercise is obviously extremely important when it comes or nutrition is extremely important when it comes to exercise, because we need to fuel, right? We need to fuel our bodies in the best way that we possibly can. So you want to power for your workouts, and then you want to be efficient in what you're eating after you work out. So just think about what you're going to eat before you do a workout. Is it going to help you have the energy and the endurance? And then after, that's a great time to hydrate. Obviously, we talked about water, but also get that protein, because that protein is going to build and repair that muscle that we just tried to create during that workout. And then lastly, tuning into your body. So just being fully present. That 20 minutes for a lot of people, if you set a timer and you timed yourself eating a regular meal, you're going to find that you ate very quickly and you continue to overeat. So try adding a couple minutes, putting the fork down, taking a sip of water, breathing in between, chewing your food before you put more food in. Different things like that will help. Eliminating distractions when you're eating in front of the TV or you're scrolling on your phone or anything like that, you're not getting the sensations that you're supposed to be getting when you're eating. You're not seeing, smelling, or tasting because your mind is elsewhere. So there's many times where you're probably eating, maybe a bag of chips in front of the TV, and you look down and you've had you've eaten the entire bag, but you really didn't get any satisfaction from it. We want to try to avoid that. We want to separate distraction when it comes to eating, and then we want to listen to our hunger and fullness cues. So checking in with yourself. That one question popped up when it was like, how do I know when to stop eating? Well, you have to give your body time to get that chemical messenger. And then you have to really be okay with starting to eat when you're starting to get hungry and stopping to eat when you're starting to get full. Because if you're starting to get full, chances are that fullness is coming. It just needs a few more minutes. So ask yourself while you're going in that. Okay, repeat that. So start eating when you're starting to feel hungry and stop eating when you're starting to feel full. You don't want to wait until you're starving and you run to a gas station and you grab the honey bun and the M&Ms, because when we get super hungry, we can't think straight. Our blood sugar drops. There's some confusion that may happen. You're getting that shakiness and you're reaching for food. If you're eating and it's been, 2 to 3 hours, you can think, okay, what's a healthy meal? How do I put it together? Let me sit and enjoy it. You're going to avoid all of those feelings of, when your blood sugar drops, but you're also going to be in a position where you're eating your meal, you can sense when you're getting full, and you can stop. Always know it's so hard. And I know, trust me, it's so hard to stop eating, especially when something is so good, but it can be leftover. It can be later. It can be another portion. It can be another day. When we talk about nutrition, it goes back to that concept of, you know, why we take medicine, right? We take medicine also to feel better. We want to put good medicine into our bodies as well. We want to get energy. We want to get nutrients so that we feel good. If we are constantly putting in those foods that are high in fat and calories and carbs and salt and cholesterol, we are not going to feel good. And over time, it's going to impact our health. And we have one life. We are given one shot. Our health and our well-being is the single most valuable asset that any of us own. No amount of money in the world could possibly buy overall health and well-being. So invest in yourself, invest in your foods, invest in time to make healthy foods and good choices. Treat yourself from time to time. All foods can fit. It's just how much and how often. Lastly, Care First resources. So we do these every month. Next month, we are going to continue on our pathway to a healthier you. So we're going to do vision health. May will be mental health, and June will be dental health. Just to touch upon the Care First Wellbeing program, if you are covered, you have access to Care First Wellbeing, which is the personalized digital solution for all things health and wellness, your real age test, challenges, your health profile, as well as our core programs. Some of our core programs include Noom, which is a weight management and diabetes prevention program. We also offer another one, which is the next slide, which is called Eat Right Now. You do need to qualify for both of these programs. The hope is that you choose one at a very high level. Noom is an independent user experience where you're going in, you're reading your lessons, you're tracking your food, you're working with a health coach, you have ongoing consistent support. It is extremely high rated. We have really great success. We are seeing a lot of clinical impact with folks losing 5% or more of their body weight. Then we also have Eat Right Now, which is module based. So this is if you are somebody that is just wanting the education and kind of some resources to get you started. So either way, you can go into Care First Wellbeing and navigate to the program section to see if you are eligible. We also have health coaching, lifestyle, and disease management. They are telephonic programs that you can work with a certified health coach. We talked about weight management, tobacco cessation, financial well-being, and then we also have a Blue 365 discount program where we have discounts for nutrition. There's a whole category on things like Blue Apron, Hungry Harvest, Kind Bars, you name it. And very last but not least is additional Care First resources. Hopefully you can tell that Care First really cares about you as a person, your family, our community, and we try to provide everything we can. So we hope you take advantage. We have posted preventative care guidelines, we have a full health library, and we have an abundance of care management programs as well. I know we went over on time. I just want to thank you so much for sticking with me. Hopefully, you found the presentation very helpful and educational. There's always so much that you can talk about when it comes to healthy eating, but small steps, little changes will go a really long way. We hope you come back in April for our next Wellness Wednesday webinar, and we wish you a healthy day.